Now I have the 1989 Lincoln Town Car all put back together. I replaced a lot of the vacuum lines in here. The most important ones, of course, being these ones that go under the manifold. Instead of these cheap lines that Ford used, which kind of flare out to a 3/8 inch, I used a heavy-duty 3/8 inch hose on both of them. There's two ports. One at the front here goes to the charcoal canister. It goes through a solenoid, and it allows gasoline vapors to be recycled back into the engine so that they can be burned, but it only activates at certain times, and that's controlled by the computer and the solenoid that connects to. I don't have it connected back yet. I will eventually, but for test purposes now I've got the vacuum gauge hook up to that port. But the rear port that connects under here goes to the MAP sensor, and I use the same kind of heavy tubing. You can see here, this tube here. And then I used a reducing coupling and a new hose to go to the MAP. And I also put a new hose here which goes into the vacuum manifold back there. And I ran a new hose over to the cruise control and a new hose to the power brake booster, along with a new grommet on the booster here. I've got new hoses for coolant for the EGR cooler, and I also put a new gasket here on the EGR valve. And I put the idle air control back on, which is back here. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I did. You can see how deteriorated this vacuum line is that went to the charcoal canister. That's going to be replaced with new vacuum tubing. But I also put a new gasket on between the upper intake manifold and the lower. And let me think. Yeah, I think that's everything that I had to do to it. And it seems to work really good now. Let's start it up and we'll do a vacuum check. Because before, this would not run at all in the state that it had gotten to. You would turn the key, and unless you held in the accelerator pedal, it wouldn't stay running. And once you finally did get it running, well, before that point it was really lagging. When you'd press the accelerator pedal, it would die, and then it would start to pick up again, but it got so bad that it would barely even start. So let's try it now. We'll see what we get here. Got good oil pressure. Before it was just surging, wouldn't even stay running constantly. Let's do a vacuum check here. Looks like the computer has decreased the idle speed a little bit there. It's about 60 degrees, just so that you have a reference for what the cold starting temperature is for the engine. Vacuum reading looks good and constant. It's not surging. So I'm going to take this out for a little drive. I had started it up before to make sure that there weren't coolant leaks, and I didn't see any. But let's just check the throttle response too, because when you'd snap open the throttle, it would just bog down. See, there's none of that. That throttle response is instantaneous, like it should be. Before, it was having kind of those symptoms of like when an accelerator pump goes bad in a carb. It was just if you snap the throttle open like that, the engine would completely shut down. So there's the Lincoln Town Car. All I need to do to complete the repair is to hook up the charcoal canister vacuum lines, and I'll do that once I get the test drive completed.